Let's go! Welcome to the show. It's Project Open Mic. Let's get the show off right. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being here with me, cause it's Project Open Mic. Let's have a good show tonight. Let's get the topic straight. Let's get things good. Let's do everything that we should. It's Project Open Mic. Let's get the show off right. Let's open our minds and take out our style. Let's see what's going on in the world tonight. It's Project Open Mic. Let's have a good show tonight. It's Project Open Mic. Let's get the show off right. It's Project Open Mic. Let's have a good show tonight. It's Project Open Mic. Let's get the show off right. It's Project Open Mic. Let's have a good show tonight. It's Project Open Mic. Let's get the show off right. Alrighty, what's going on, everybody? Hope you are doing well. This is your boy Tate for Project Open Mic. Hope you're doing good. We're gonna just jump straight into stuff. So tonight I want to thank y'all for joining us in here. And I hope open your minds and make you get thinking. Tonight's show is all about, it's basically a little bit of the Oscars, a little stuff going on. There's more stuff I wanted to talk about, but I started late. That's not my fault, that's me. So I hope everybody out there is doing well, and like I said, ears are open, and we're going to talk about this topic. So like I said, so going down the list, hopefully we get through all this as quickly, as fast as we can. We have, tonight's show is about, again, like I stated, the Oscars goes to the downfall of America, where we're going to talk about the duplicitous nature of Hollywood and the media. Going woke is getting us more broke, and the SP Bank downfall showed at the House of Cards, and how the new religion of woke is not doing good for none of us. And then, of course, we're gonna talk about, there's some stuff that popped up about BLM, and also the new religion, the new gender is evil gender. That's basically what it is. So we'll get all that tonight. So again, thank you. Hope you all put in your thinking caps. So we're getting into this. So again, the Oscars happen. Let me just make sure everything is good. And it's, yep, it is. Alright, so the Oscars happen this Sunday. Of course, I have not watched the Oscars in years. They do not represent, Oscars does not represent movies, really the more. It represents the high class. And the more and more I find out that the high class doesn't give a dang about us, and they live their own lives that's different from our lives. So yeah. And we're gonna see some, we're gonna see some craziness tonight. So buckle up for the craziness, and then I'll do about 5 minutes if I can, depending on the time. I'll do about 5 minutes on of going to the comments and the chat and everything. So again, thank you for everybody ever joining us on YouTube, on Facebook, on Twitch TV. You can go check us out there. You also can check us out with Tempo FM. Nico for my people in Japan. Shout outs to people in the East. It's basically daytime for y'all as usual. You Now and Live Now, and again we're gonna, and of course Spotify. You can catch us on Spotify, Anchor, Stitcher. Hey, we all there. So again, and I'm rebuilding up the T3 Records website, so T3 Inc. So you guys could, you have a one shop stop. You can go there, check out music, buy music, buy music, check out the radio stuff, and figure out what's going on. And again, hopefully in the future, buy merch and everything as we got to, because we need to get back into that. So with that stated, let's get straight into the Oscars, the debauchery of the Oscars, and go from there. Hope you guys have your seatbelts on for this craziness that we're gonna do tonight. Okay. So with that stated, let's get to. Let me just set this up here, so we could be on the same page.
And I watched all 3 hours and 15 minutes of it so that you don't have to. And yes, you owe me one for that. But this year, the liberal propaganda was surprisingly kept to a minimum. Probably because every year they lose millions of viewers. And so they thought maybe we should try to make it less political for a change.
Which I understand that part, because yes, it's become annoying.
Of course, that doesn't mean they didn't virtue signal for diversity, equity, and inclusion.
Yep. And while we're on the subject of diversity, I want to say, especially those of you watching at home, there are a number of excellent films and performances that were not nominated tonight, including Till and The Woman King, which are both based on true stories.
Till, yes, that I think that should have been nominated again, but I don't care for Oscars. The Woman King, no, because it's a falsehood. All right, movie, I watched it, but it's a falsehood. The women, that tribe made slavery worse. It didn't. I've done the video about it. They did not save or stop it. They took over the slave trade in Africa, in the western part of Africa, and so make more people more slaves. I'm not shocked by that, because there's really no civilization or country that didn't have slaves. But you know, they like to talk that nonsense, like, oh, we don't know what's going on with that situation.
With great performances from Danielle Deadwyler and Viola Davis that are very worthy of your time if you haven't seen them.
As none of the movies that was nominated was enough to make me want to watch it.
Basically, what he's saying there is there were some black films that totally sucked and didn't get nominated for anything, and they didn't want to be called racist, so they thought they would give them a shout out anyway.
And like I said, and I differ from what I'm playing. It's Mark Dice. I'm playing it, but I play it for a reason. But like I just explained, Woman King was not a bad movie. It's just like I said, it is not on basis. That was not based on facts. Little stitches of truth there. Like I said, they were slaving people. They were selling it to the white man. So it's just like, oh, we need to stop. No, you won't. That was not how the true story was.
Last year, NBC refused to air the Golden Globes, which are basically like the Oscars, except they not only include films, but television shows as well, because the Hollywood Foreign Press Association, they said, didn't have enough black people voting for which films and television shows were the best.
Okay, good. I'll try to move on.
And I'm sure the LGBTQAIPK2 plus community is upset because they only got 2 shout outs throughout the entire show, this being the first.
To try and summarize the experiences of all those who identify as women in one movie would be impossible.
Only women identify as women.
Those who identify as women?
Exactly.
I think you mean women.
Women, exactly.
The 7 short films helmed by 7 female directors that make up Tell It Like a Woman.
Because I'm sure that the life experience of transgender women and women are completely identical.
They ain't.
Women, as you know, start off life as girls, and then as they mature, they
become
women.
To
get the attention of boys who become interested and attracted to them. Transgender women, on the other hand, well, better not get into that or I'll get canceled. Yep. But the big TikTok star Dylan Mulvaney is complaining that after all of his expensive surgeries to try to look like a woman, nobody is sliding into his DMs.
Why would they? it just would happen. But anyway, we'll go from that situation, of course, because it's just ridiculous how these people do it. Anyway.
And now the Academy Awards are being pressured to eliminate gender altogether because obviously there are different awards for the Best Actress and the Best Actor.
Sure.
But that's now seen as sexist and divisive. Now they want one award for the Best Acting Person. That's not a joke.
And that's crazy. So so women fought it to be equal to men. And now you're gonna make it that they're not equal to men. And again, a man present himself as a woman could win the Best Woman Award. Again, Jenner got Woman of the Year award. A man who became a woman. Wow. I think this best sells it up.
What a waste. The poor children.
Exactly.
This from the LA Times. The Best Actress Oscar is a sexist Hollywood relic. Time to get rid of gendered awards.
Okay, then let's get rid of the WNBA. How about that? Because it doesn't make money or whatever. I'm being facetious here, but it's just so stupid when you say that. It can be turned against you.
Surprisingly, the host, Jimmy Kimmel, did make a joke about Hunter Biden, which I think is the first time a liberal comedian has, well, made me laugh in years, and referenced Hunter and his, well, personal problems.
This is my favorite duo of the year, Steven Spielberg and Seth Rogen. What a pair.
Exactly. That nut job, Seth. Hey, I'll let him play. He plays he's playing Donkey Kong in a movie coming up that I like. But yeah.
The Joe and Hunter Biden of Hollywood.
Seth Rogen, if you don't know, is best known for being a complete druggie and degenerate.
And
Jimmy Kimmel made this
douchebag.
interesting joke, which would obviously never be made about another certain group of people and degenerate. Jimmy Kimmel made this interesting, the Fighting Irish. So you're feeding into ethnic stereotypes, right, Jimmy? Maybe the Irish do tend to fight more than certain other talked about, not even citing actual FBI statistics, but
a new global alliance is rising, but it
that is true in a situation that's going on right now.
white characters for black characters in popular film franchises and television series. And so they made this bizarre promotion during the Oscars for the new Little Mermaid put out by Disney, which now features a black actress as the once redheaded Ariel. They literally just had the actress come out on stage and promote the film. Like, it hasn't been nominated for anything. It hasn't came out yet. But, of course, Disney is...
Now you see it more. Wait, so you're telling me, yeah, Ariel's black, but the father's still white.
What the fuck?
You can't make this stuff up.
Disney is afraid that if this is a commercial failure, that's going to reflect poorly on Hollywood's race swapping trend. CNN
Yes, it
won
is.
an Oscar because the fake plastic people in Hollywood recognize the fake news in Washington, D.C. It's a documentary following the Russian dissident Alexei Navalny, who once challenged Vladimir Putin for the presidency of Russia. When presenting the award for Best Editing, Jimmy Kimmel made this dig at Tucker Carlson for, well, revealing the truth about January 6th.
Editors can turn 44,000 hours of violent insurrection footage into a respectful sightseeing tour of the Capitol.
I think
I mean, that's what literally did happen, Jimmy. It's just again, you know what? That was the whole story.
I think what you mean is Tucker Carlson revealed the footage of Jacob Chansley peacefully walking through the halls of the Capitol, being escorted by police.
Yep. And
on
then,
that eventful day. I believe
which I showed as well too, and which I showed as well in the last Project Open Mic, episode 98.
this is the first year that they changed the order of the awards for Best Actor and Best Actress. Usually, the award for Best Actress comes first, and then Best Actor, and then Best Picture, and then the show wraps up. But because of feminism, they decided to swap the two, and the award for Best Actor was given first.
Which doesn't bother me. I don't care. First, it doesn't care. I don't care about that.
First to Brendan Fraser for his film The Whale.
Oh, we were going to talk about
then
that.
The award for Best Actress was given to whoever this woman is. Of course, last year, host Chris Rock got slapped by Will Smith for making fun of his wife, and that was blamed on white people by the liberal media industrial complex.
Well, he didn't really make, like I said, he didn't make a joke against Jada, but again, as twisted as Jada is, yeah, whatever. So and of course, the Tiffany, I forgot her last in the middle. I'm happy you lost your job. I'm sorry. You are. This is where you just make things worse.
Context for our white fellow countrymen as best I can.
Oh, please tell me.
Really, truly, Black America, there is a commonality amongst us all.
Which is?
Oh yeah, but we can't get into that, can we?
We went to a white person's home, and it was their family dinner, and we were sitting there at the table, and the mother hauled off and slapped the father. And everybody at that table has an opinion. You know, the sister's like, "Mom, you always do this," and the brother's like, "I can't believe you guys are doing this," and Dad is like, "You're terrible." If I weigh in as the guest in this home and I say, "Yeah, you guys are terrible," everybody's like, "I'm sorry, when did you get an opinion? This is our family table."
That's a dysfunctional Black family you just said right there. No, I would have said something, because again, and that would never happen in my house, because of why do uppity Black people always portray? It's so weird. It is so weird. This is why I don't want to. This is why I'm not woke. Okay, just so stupid.
That's what this moment felt like for many of us. And there's a nuance to what happened.
So,
what nuance? What nuance?
well,
I don't want, because it is things I don't want to speak. I don't want him to speak on that
violent
one.
crimes. Here's PBS echoing the same sentiment.
A lot of people who watched Will Smith's onstage slap of comedian Chris Rock are saying the moment carried more meaning and charge than just a man losing his cool with another man who insulted his wife.
What the fuck?
No, it did not. It did not. Two, Chris did not insult his wife by saying the Mary Jane joke. That's what he didn't insult his wife. And also, it's a little joke, and he gets physical with him. No.
To discuss the deeper cultural context, our author and film critic Isa Nefertari Yulin, who is also a professor, and
the deeper cultural context,
What?
meaning that Black men commit 10 times the violent crime of white people? Is that what you're going to get into? Of course not. That was a joke.
I think that anytime we witness violence, we need to understand that from a place where we recognize the emotional and psychological state that's driving this physical response.
Oh no.
No, look. Let me help you out, lady. Will Smith has been a punk to his wife. He was a great actor. He is a great actor. And I still watch Fresh Prince of Bel-Air and everything. But, not to be crazy in this, but he sold his balls to his wife. His wife is, I used to love Jada Pinkett as well too. But that one is toxic. And will fall for the toxic. And sorry, to go upstage and slap Chris Rock live in front of all millions of people is not cool. Okay? It's not. And it was a joke. We can't take jokes. Again, We grew up in the age, sticks and stones may break my bones and words will never harm me. Now words are harming people now. I've said it, I'm gonna keep on saying it. I don't know you, so I'm not gonna give your words any effect on my mental peace.
You mean anti-whiteism and white envy?
To a trigger. And Will Smith was definitely triggered that night. But I think in the broader context,
yeah, he was triggered from his wife because, again, Chris Rock, because Will Smith was laughing and he understood it was jokes. But again, you saw that.
Context of American society, we need to understand what was happening there is really rooted and steeped in a 400-year commitment.
Holy Jesus. No, son of a bitch.
No. No, it does not. No, it does not. No, it's not that.
Commitment to Black erasure, Black marginalization, Black silencing, and the stereotyping.
What are you talking about, lady?
Of Black people.
So
no. We're not gonna.
you're at the
I'm not gonna listen to that. So let's just go to the next one.
people's fault. Surprisingly, there weren't any drag queens paraded out on stage to be celebrated this year.
No.
At least that I saw, although I did nod off at various points throughout the extremely boring ceremony.
Yep.
But we can't get through an entire Hollywood award show without somebody giving a shout out to drag queens.
We want to dedicate this to the mommies, all the mommies of the world, to our moms. Specifically my mom and dad, Ken and Becky. Thank you for not squashing my creativity when I was making really disturbing horror films or really perverted comedy films or dressing in drag as a kid, which is a threat to nobody.
Which is also perverted and horrifying.
Yeah.
Listen to the crowd cheer. Yeah, he's a drag queen. Then at the end, the winner for Best Picture appeared to make an interesting Freudian slip.
Yeah, but this is for my dad because we made this movie with what he taught me to do, which is no person is more important than profits.
Hey, you're correct.
No
that
person is more
cruel
important
than profits.
So
that is correct.
You mean profits
no.
for people? Profits are more important than people? Well, that is the Hollywood way.
That is the Hollywood way, and that is the truth. It is. But let's go on to more perversion, shall we? So, as you heard, Brandon Fraser. Now, Brandon Fraser, I was a fan of Brandon Fraser. Okay, I am. And I also, he went through a lot with one of his ex-wife, which really did him really, really bad. All right, that woman took him for the ringer. And I felt that what he had to go through with his kids and everything is messed up. Love the mommy, love all that stuff. But here's the thing. You got to ask her. Proud. Good for you, Brandon. Good for you. But the way you got to ask her, I'm not happy for that. That's what I say. I am not selling my soul. I am not selling my soul for these people. I am not selling my good-natured soul for reputable people just to get a golden statue or to get money. I'm not doing that. Let's get into Brandon Fraser because this is despicable in my opinion. And I'm sorry, calling it out what it is.
Fraser was crowned the comeback king of Hollywood this year at the Oscars, and it's not because of his riveting and emotional performance in The Whale as an obese, reclusive English teacher trying to reconnect with his estranged daughter.
And that would have been a great movie. But as small as Sean was. But there's more.
That was just the cover story, and I'll get into the real reason in this video. And I'm not going to go over the whole Oscar ceremony. I covered that in my previous video yesterday, so go and check that one out if you missed it. This is about the real reason for Brendan Fraser's comeback, who, before this tremendous comeback, he was basically just an ordinary D-list actor, having appeared in some hits, but not having any real special talent. Encino Man back in the 1990s, playing a caveman that got thawed out in a block of ice and then started living in modern society. Then later appearing in The Mummy,
Mummies, which I like.
Mummy Returns, and while they might be somewhat popular films,
They
his
were.
performances weren't exactly Oscar worthy. But now
No.
he's being hailed a hero, and the prosthetics and digital effects were amazing, making him look quite realistic instead of just a guy wearing a fat suit. But
Yeah, which I give them that. But here comes the story.
the real reason why Hollywood is celebrating this film is because it's a covert anti-Christian movie.
film. Yeah.
The entire subtext is that Christianity is bad. It turns out that the real reason why he's estranged from his daughter and his ex-wife is because he left them for a man. It turns out,
Of course. Why would it be?
that his boyfriend was the son of the pastor of the local megachurch and later offed himself because he couldn't deal with the guilt and the homophobia of being the gay son of a Christian pastor. That caused the whale's eating disorder, homophobia from Christianity. Later in the film, a missionary is trying to save him, preaching to the whale, but he is rejected once again because of the Christian homophobia that resulted in his boyfriend's death.
Believe me, he doesn't want to hear about new life.
Why?
Because it's caused him a lot of pain.
How?
Killed his boyfriend.
But the whale ended up going to heaven anyway because he finally reconciled with his daughter. Hollywood's latest tactic is to covertly insert gay storylines into movies and TV shows that are just marketed as ordinary shows.
Yep.
Like viewers of HBO's The Last of Us found out when they realized that a couple of friends who had survived the zombie apocalypse turned out to be a couple. The director of The Whale is Darren Aronofsky, who has a long history of putting deceptive packages on his films that cover up his covert and occult agenda. The best example is Noah, the 2014 film that
Which, of course,
Christians thought was about Noah's Ark. But those who saw it quickly learned that it actually had nothing to do with the biblical story of Noah and the flood. Instead of depicting Noah as a man working to save his family to repopulate the earth after the flood, he built the ark only to save the animals. And he tells his family that they've been chosen for that one task, to save the innocent, the animals. And that he later tells his wife that when the work is complete, that they will die the same fate as all of the other humans. Noah didn't want the earth to be repopulated with humans because he just wanted all the animals to be saved. And after the flood, they could live in peace on the earth without all the pesky humans who were cutting down too many trees and mining too many minerals from the planet. Few who saw the film actually understood what Darren Aronofsky's message was. It was essentially the secret doctrine, the occult belief that God enslaved human beings and that he is a substandard or lower level God, and then Satan entered the Garden of Eden in order to save mankind.
Holy Jesus. No, son of a bitch.
Satan entered the... These people are crazy. Hollywood is what it is. It's Hollywood. It's crazy.
Check my previous video for my analysis on the 2023 Oscars. I watched it so that you don't have to, and that's the only thing that I left out was Top Gun was basically completely snubbed.
Of course.
And Tom Cruise snubbed the Oscars, supposedly because he had a work schedule conflict. He's shooting another Mission Impossible film halfway around the world. But the only award that Top Gun Maverick won,
the biggest grossing film of last year, only won what?
A film that basically saved Hollywood.
Yep.
And Tom Cruise's COVID protocols allowed the studios to continue working. So they threw him a bone by giving the film the Oscar for Best Sound Editing. Of course, they can't have a powerful and
Really? That's it? Doesn't sound anything.
patriotic film like Top Gun being given an award for Best Picture. That has to go to the film about the gay guy whose life was ruined by Christianity.
These tracks are just the beginning. There's so much more in the Bible that we can't...
I read the Bible.
Really?
Sure. A couple times.
Did you like it?
I thought it was devastating.
So now you know why The Whale was hailed as one of the most powerful films of the last year.
Of course. That's why. That's why it's that. Surprising. Cause all about
it's getting somebody to unlock the door on
it's all about the money.
It's getting somebody to unlock the door
That's what
on
it
the
is.
inside and let you in as opposed to breaking in.
That's what it is. Just money.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Wow, but yeah, and the other thing, so you're the sort of person that has this power and you don't want to use it to mess with the election?
I want money.
Money.
Throw out a tweet from Donald Trump on election day?
That won't get me money.
Get me money.
Early in the morning?
But I want money.
That's true. It wouldn't get you money, but man, you could have an effect on the election.
I don't want an effect. I want money.
Exactly. That's what it's all about. Cash. Well, let's go to the other one. Speaking of cash, let's talk about we're gonna keep on doing. We're gonna jump back to the Oscars a little bit, but let's talk about the big bank that failed, the Silicon Valley Bank failure.
Silicon Valley Bank and several other major banks over the last week. Many are hoping that this isn't going to lead to another massive financial crisis.
Yes,
but
it will.
This is how MSNBC decided to lead their primetime show All In with Chris Hayes on
MSNBC. Am I going to be surprised by this? Not really, but anyway.
Tuesday night.
Good evening from New York. I'm Chris Hayes. Today we learned that both the Department of Justice and the Securities and Exchange Commission are...
Right, you notice that? Notice that picture? Why would they have Donald Trump there? Of course.
I've been watching a lot of cable news. I am a big fan of that lesbian on MSNBC, Chris Hayes. He's great.
Basically.
Right after the collapse happened, many were joking on social media, asking if the liberal media had blamed Donald Trump yet. But it turns out that those weren't just jokes. They were prophecies, a prediction of the future.
Are investigating the collapse of Silicon Valley Bank last week.
Wait for
Sources tell NBC News the DOJ's probe is in its early stages. Part of it will examine whether bank executives sold any stock prior to the collapse.
Well, that should be investigated, actually.
Yeah, and they did, of course. They always do.
Actually.
Now, of course, we should be clear here. I've covered quite a bit of this in my career. Banks can fail without any criminal behavior or fraud.
That really happens. Yeah, you're correct, but not these kind of banks. Not these big boys. We know that.
I think they could fail also for making bad investments, like in woke companies.
Yes.
But I'll get into that in a moment.
Sometimes they make really bad bets or risky decisions. Sometimes they don't, and they get squeezed by a big bank run. We have only started.
That is true. Again, that is true. He said so. That he said that is true. But that's not what happened. And also, that don't happen a lot.
To scratch the surface of what happened. But one thing that does obviously jump out about the situation is
it's obviously Donald Trump's fault.
Is that it happened in the wake of a big rollback of banking regulations.
No, it wasn't.
Because in 2018, Republicans in Congress pushed through legislation to undo a lot of rules for small and medium-sized banks, like SVB, that had been imposed under the bipartisan Dodd-Frank law in the wake of the 2008 crash.
SVB was not a medium bank, so don't even go there with that nonsense. They had billions of dollars.
Which I don't think affected whether or not banks were buying long-term treasuries, because those were never considered to be risky investments.
Exactly.
Those regulations were placed on banks to prevent them from making risky bets with their customers' deposits. Not buying bonds, which I guess up until the pending collapse of the United States were considered to be the most financially sound investment.
Yeah.
The person who signed that bill into law, the regulation rollback, none other than Donald Trump. It was one of a whole bunch of deregulatory moves he made while in office. In fact, he also oversaw the reversal of a train safety rule.
They're literally blaming.
Oh, you mean the same rule where he went and gave people water and helped them out While where was Joe Biden again? Oh yeah, he was in Ukraine, where he's giving money to people, where he released a criminal, a terrorist back to Russia to do more damage in Ukraine. How can you make this stuff up? And where was Pete Buttigieg? Was Pete Buttigieg there helping to give people? No, Donald Trump bought food for the people who work in the service, like the firefighters and stuff. He bought bottles of water. Yes, it was Trump water, but I'll take Trump water out of toxic water that was there in the water. Sorry, I'll take it.
Him for the train in East Palestine, Ohio being derailed in the chemical spill, even though it wouldn't have stopped the train from derailing if it had the new brakes, because one of the axles broke. As this continues to be investigated, it's going to be interesting to see which garbage companies this bank invested.
Oh, we're going to get into that too. Silicon Valley pledge nearly $7 million to Black Lives Matter cause. Oh, we're going to get into that.
I'm sorry, wasted their money on,
basically,
like pledging nearly $74 million to Black Lives Matter causes. According to their diversity, equity, and inclusion statement, they were more interested in giving money to businesses that were run by non-white, non-straight individuals. Probably like this guy who brags that finally, and this is not sarcasm, by the way, this is the actual inventor, finally, a black-owned company manufactures a wireless charger for your phone.
Okay, I won't say finally. Happy that it is. Get it out there, sell it, do what you gotta do. But you ain't finally, brother.
Well, what did we do without you? This from the New York Times.
Exactly.
Silicon Valley Bank collapse threatens climate startups. The bank had relationships with more than 1,500 companies working on technologies aimed at curbing global warming.
And majority of them was Ponzi schemes.
Well, I think we found the cause of the collapse right here.
Most of it was, like I said, Ponzi schemes. Say, oh, we're going to do this and do that. No, you did not.
I thought it was sarcasm, but this is real. This is the new Greta Thunberg. This is Greta Thunberg 2.0. Sophia Kayani, however you pronounce her name, who said that the death of Silicon Valley Bank is bad news for climate change. 1,500 plus climate and energy tech companies relied on the bank. She is the new UN advisor to climate change, a student at Stanford who, from the looks of her, advisor to climate change, a student at Stanford who, from the looks of her, she is not eating meat as part of her quest to stop climate change because she obviously has a severe lack of muscle tissue and definitely needs a cheeseburger. Did I say vegetarian? I meant vegan, because she's obviously not drinking milk either. With arms that skinny, I would be willing to bet that she couldn't even carry a gallon of milk from the refrigerator to the dinner table. Since Greta Thunberg is just so odd, the climate change movement needed a new face to try to push the propaganda.
How dare you?
The new narrative surrounding the bank collapses is that social media may be to blame. They were the first social media induced bank runs. And so Democrat Senator Mark Kelly is asking whether or not the big tech platforms should be censoring people posting about future possible bank insolvencies in order to protect the banking system.
How about we find out, like, just like Nancy Pelosi, and again, as Republicans have done this too. How about we find out in government, if you're in government, and again, I think we should have a term limit of 2 terms for the daggone Senate and Congress. 2 terms. That's it. None. You're in, you're out, done it. You can't do that much damage as best as you can. 2 terms in, because most of y'all y'all know what happens and made millions of dollars again. Because Nancy Pelosi, of course, again, Barack Obama, president of the United States, former president of the United States, bought a $40 million house. Nancy Pelosi, who had never been, just basically been a House Speaker, bought a $25 million house. How that works?
But don't worry, folks. The FDIC, the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation, the government entity that guarantees bank deposits up to, used to be, $250,000, is signaling that they're now just going to guarantee an unlimited amount of money. Well, how can they do that?
Oh, that's going to be great. Inflation. Here we come more.
You ask? Well, they'll just print as much money as they want. This has really been an open secret for some time. Here's former Federal Reserve Chairman Alan Greenspan.
This is not an issue of credit rating. The United States can pay any debt it has because we can always print money to do that. So there is zero probability of default.
What?
Motherfucker. That don't even make no goddamn sense.
Exactly. We could print. That's what caused the collapse in other countries around the world. I've shown that. And two, having too much of something makes it less valuable. Duh. That's simple, comprehensive. And come to find out who, and Dodd-Frank, who was on top of those of the SVB? Who was in that? You find out.
I believe this is economist Austin Goolsbee, who is obviously stunned that Alan Greenspan just let the cat out of the bag. Here's the president of one of the regional locations of the Federal Reserve Bank echoing those sentiments.
To the person who is about to grab their car keys and go to the ATM and take out $3,000, you say what?
$3,000. Well, you can't do that, but anyway.
You don't need to. Your ATM is safe. Your banks are safe. There's enough cash in the financial system, and there is an infinite amount of cash at the Federal Reserve. We will do whatever we need to do to make sure that there's enough cash in the banking system.
An infinite amount of cash.
Yeah.
And this is why the memes about the money printers aren't really jokes. They're really just another prophecy of our impending future. Of course, CNBC's Jim Cramer, their financial goofball, recommended people buy Silicon Valley Bank stock just weeks before it collapsed, echoing his idiotic statements back in 2008, yelling at people, telling them not to sell their Bear Stearns stock just a week before it went to zero. I mean, what's next? Is he going to endorse Sam Bankman-Fried, the con man behind the FTX crypto collapse? Oh, wait, what's this?
J.P. Morgan of this generation, Sam Bankman-Fried's FTX, is slashing everybody's margin, and average fees per transaction across the industry had declined by 50%. A lot of that is the man, Sam Bankman-Fried.
Yes, he called him the next J.P. Morgan because robbing Peter to pay Paul is a brilliant business strategy, according to Jim Cramer. A lot of people keep wondering, how can Jim Cramer be so wrong so often and still have a job? Well, the answer is that he's not making a mistake. It's his job to shill garbage stock and pump it and dump it so that him and his elite friends can get rich off of the small individual retail investor who's left holding the bag.
Which is mostly regular people like us, or if you invest in or you had stocks and stuff like that. Not surprising. And speaking of that, let me see if we'll get let me hit you with one more with the I want to hit you one more thing with the back before we get back into the Oscars. Give me a second. I know I had it. Where was it? Where was the... Okay, yes. I want to talk about the... let's go. I just want to go a little more deeper with the bank stuff.
More and more information on just how corrupt, how woke, how Democrat infested the now defunct banks across the country really were. As many of you know, Signature Bank was shuttered by regulators earlier this week, making it now the third largest bank failure in history, following the shuttering of Silicon Valley Bank, the second largest failure. But now we're learning why Signature Bank in particular appears to have been so utterly incompetent in its banking affairs. As Tucker Carlson exposed last night on his show, they were blatantly corrupt. They were active participants in the revolving door between congressional legislatures and the banking industry.
Stolen in Casablanca? Really? Criminals doing criminal things? Let's keep on going.
Do we know that? Because their board of directors gave the ultra-leftist former Democratic Congressman Barney Frank a board seat. Now, who's Barney Frank? Well, Frank was one of the co-sponsors of the Dodd-Frank Financial Reform Law 2010.
See how that came back and bite the butt? Oh, yeah, we could keep on printing money.
That regulated banks like Signature Bank. So what we're seeing here is the banking industry and supposedly independent regulators of the banking industry joining forces on a board of directors. And we, of course, now see what happens when you have this revolving door between legislatures and bankers. But it's not just Signature Bank. The Daily Mail is reporting that Silicon Valley Bank's board was comprised virtually entirely of Clinton and Obama mega donors.
Taxes! Beautiful, lovely taxes!
Thanks for taking my money.
That's mostly what it was. That's what you see the revolving door, like I just said. That's why we don't need more than 2 terms. If the president has 2 terms, Congress and Senate should have 2 terms too. Keep the same numbers. I ain't got a problem with that. But it should be we the people of the government, not we the people of the corrupt. That's what's going on, and that's what they do.
Just one board member who had experience in investment banking, just one, a fellow by the name of Tom King. The rest were all Democrat hacks. I wonder why. Well, here's Maria Teresa of NBC's Meet the Press saying the quiet part out loud.
I want to start very quickly with banking crisis. Maria Teresa, you were just saying you were surprised you haven't seen Powell yelling out more forcefully.
Well, I already done show that Powell is a corrupted person already. How much money she already took, and when the market crashed back in the 2000s. Anyway, I mean, in the 2020s. I mean, sorry.
Already, Jay Powell, the Federal Reserve Chair.
If you look at which bank this is the Silicon Valley Bank. This is the startup bank. This is also oftentimes the Democratic ATM bank.
There you go. There you go. That's why he had a lot of Clinton and Obama appointed people at the top rank. And this is MSNBC, and you heard what she said. And MSNBC is more favorable to Democrats if you people don't understand that. So let's just be honest with it, okay? I told you that, said that before. Look, you see what happened.
Of all those investors. And so the fact that you don't have these the investors that invest in the people. So the fact that you don't have someone actually talking from the administration and being so forceful, I do think that what we're going to see are Republicans saying, oh, you shouldn't bail this one out. And it's going to be, I think, very much along political lines.
So SVB was a Democrat piggy bank, just like Sam Bankman-Fried of the now defunct FTX turns out to have been. As I'm sure you remember, FTX gave $10 million to Joe Biden's 2020 campaign. And we now know that Bankman-Fried was one of the single biggest contributors to the Democratic Party, second only to George Soros. The New York Post is reporting that Chuck Schumer just got caught. He's now distancing himself from the money he got from SVB.
Of course.
Giving the money to charity instead. Donald Trump Jr. is pointing out the obvious here. He tweeted out, I guess if East Palestine, Ohio had more major Democrat donors, they'd be getting a bailout like Silicon Valley Bank.
Exactly.
Now, just to drive home what's really happening here, take a look at what even the left, we're talking the far left, are saying on Democracy Now!, hosted by Amy Goodman, who's a staunch leftist, and even they're calling out the Democrats on this. Here she is with Jacobin editor David Sirota.
Tell us who is the CEO of SVB, and also talk about Barney Frank.
Sure. Greg Becker, the Silicon Valley president, submitted testimony when Congress was looking at whether to weaken the then current Dodd-Frank law. And what he was particularly pushing for was to raise the thresholds by which banks were subject to stricter scrutiny. So there was a $50 billion threshold. If a bank was bigger, had more assets than $50 billion, it faced higher capital requirements and more granular and more stringent stress tests to make sure that the bank wouldn't fail. Ultimately, Greg Becker, and he was not alone, but he and the banking industry got their way, raising that threshold for Silicon Valley Bank and other similarly sized banks. And Greg Becker, as one example, just to use him as an example, I mean, he held a fundraiser at his home for Democratic Senator Mark Warner of Virginia. And soon after, Mark Warner was one of those Democrats who, in that vote that Elizabeth Warren was talking about, was one of those Democrats that joined with 50 Republicans to pass that bill that raised those thresholds, that ultimately meant that a bank like Silicon Valley Bank was not subjected by law, by rule, by Federal Reserve regulatory authority, was not subjected to the kinds of risk management and risk assessment that it would have been subjected to under the existing Dodd-Frank law.
Barney Frank, if you could answer that question, the author of the Frank-Dodd bill?
Yeah, I mean, that's an incredible story there. You've got the author of the Dodd-Frank bill who then gets on the board of a bank that was this weekend shuttered. So it shows, in my view, it shows the revolving door here between the policymakers and the banks that are trying to weaken policy. It's almost a too. If you put it into a movie about corruption, your screenwriter would say you can't put that in. It's too on the nose. It's too ridiculous for the author of the bill to be on the board of a bank that was just shuttered.
It's all about that money, though.
Now, that revolving door comment is absolutely key here. It's the key to understanding everything that's happening with SVB, our banking industry as a whole, and indeed the wider permanent political class. It's precisely why we're seeing even the populist left revolting against all of this, and it's why, in the end, this whole thing is going to ultimately come crashing down. But first, gang, I got to tell you, I was absolutely shocked when I was recently shown just how easy it is to access the
I want to skip it because he's talking about these. Let me see. Yep, home lock. Let me see. I'm trying to get to the other part.
Bankers and bureaucrats is all part of a process that scholars call refeudalization. It's a term that refers to the ways in which the structure of our society is increasingly reflecting the kind of social structure that characterized the feudal Middle Ages. So, for example, today, like then, you have this astonishing concentration of wealth and power, where very few people control pretty much everything. 5 years ago, about 400 billionaires owned half the world's assets. Today, it's just 100 billionaires. So you have this tremendous concentration of wealth and power. And secondly, we're seeing today a comparable kind of religious fundamentalism, not through a clerical or priestly class, but through what's called a clerisy class, a pseudo-intellectual class dedicated to woke fundamentalism made up of the environment, gender, and race. But the key here is that, like with religious fundamentalism, there's no room for dissent. Dissenters are heretics. We're profane. Again, the key here is that instead of living under a clerical class enforcing religious dogma, we're living under a clerisy class, a class of pseudo-intellectuals from the universities and the professions, the credential class, that are every bit as uncompromising and dogmatic in imposing their brand of fundamentalist ideology. If you haven't seen this, this is Scott Shea, the chairman of Signature Bank, imposing upon his employees transgender pronoun ideology. Watch this.
Scott Shea, chairman of Signature Bank, and it is a pleasure for me to welcome you to this multimedia, multicasted, multispatial meeting of the Pride Council. And I'm just thrilled that there are about 40 people in the room. I understand there are something like 190 people at watch parties. So hi to you all at the watch parties.
You know, the most common pronouns that folks are familiar with are she and he.
Because that's mostly what it is.
Becoming much more common, and I don't know if there's anyone in the Signature Bank world, but probably you have clients that use they, them as pronouns.
No, we don't.
They're gender-neutral pronouns on purpose. We talked about folks that are non-binary, that intentionally don't identify as male or female.
You could identify as what you want. You could identify as a helicopter for all I care. But when you go to your doctor and when you go and do all the stuff, you are what you are. And I don't know why this get pushed into this certain situation.
So some of those folks use they, them as their pronouns. Z is another gender-neutral pronoun.
No, really.
And the other part of that would be here, spelled H-I-R.
If I hear that support for Ukraine is all about supporting freedom and democracy one more freaking time, I'm going to puke. Our society is a neo-feudalist society with its own form of top-down enforced ideological tyrannical fundamentalism. It has nothing to do with actual democracy. In fact, the British sociologist Colin Crouch actually calls our time a post-democratic age, where political decision-making is increasingly removed from the local and recalibrated around a translocal, often transnational group of centralized political elites, as we see made up of bankers and bureaucrats. And so the gap, the values gap, the wealth gap, the power gap between the people and their supposed representatives is in many ways larger than ever. And scholars have noted that this widening gap between the people and the permanent political class, as it were, has contributed not merely to a sense of political apathy among citizens, where their participation in voting or in civic affairs has very alarmingly declined over recent years. That's certainly concerning, but apathy is not the only consequence of this alienation. A very definite sense of distrust and suspicion and disgust has risen among a significant portion of the population. And as we saw, it extends way beyond the political right. We're seeing it on the populist left as well.
There you go. Both sides have been doing this, but again, like I said in my own phrasing, there's nothing more hate than a Republican than a Democrat. Both parties do that. I apologize. Both parties are doing that, and it's just their downfall is affecting us in a big way. But they do it, but when it gets out, like the scandal of that too much, that SVB bank stuff, that got out. That should have never got out. That's what it is. They were trying to keep that under wraps, but the bank failed because they were doing bad businesses, doing stuff with, like it said, with powers that don't do nothing. Don't give money to we don't give money to sound advice. We give money just because it feels good. That's how a bank will fail. Duh. And let's not forget the corruption of that. Again, majority of the bank leaders were Democrat operatives that used to be in the Democrat Party. I'm not surprised by that. Not surprised by that at all. But let's get back into, like I said, Silicon Valley. Let's get back to another one. I gotta talk about before we got one more thing to get the Oscars before we go into something else and we change it up. So here we go. We gotta talk about again the craziness off the rails how these are. Okay.
My previous videos, if you missed my analysis, and the celebrations in the mainstream media are starting to subside. Actress Jamie Lee Curtis was showing off her Oscar on the Today Show when she said,
and again, once you go behind, here's the thing with Hollywood, I should say. Once you go behind the curtains and you see how the sausage is made, as the old saying go with the hot dogs and stuff, you can't look at it the same no more. You just can't.
Hey. Oh, look at this. Here they are.
Here they are.
We named her. What's her?
I'm in support of my daughter Ruby. I'm having them be a they them.
Oh.
What the fuck? Oh. I'm gonna just call them they them, and they are doing great.
They are crazy. What a surprise. The child of a Hollywood celebrity turned out like this. Meanwhile, the Canadian Cancer Society is recommending that transgender women get screened for cervical cancer, even though obviously they don't have a cervix. Of course, you have to be careful what news sources you trust on the internet. So I go directly to the source, and this is the website itself, cancer.ca. Instead of the .com up there, they use .ca for Canada. As a trans woman, do I need to get screened for cervical cancer?
No, you don't have a cervix.
They ask. I'm not going to read you the details because some of you may be eating, but they conclude that the answer is yes. Things are so backward.
The hell is that on my screen?
In society that Jeffrey Marsh, the creepiest man on TikTok.
Yes, he is creepy. And the cops should be at this man's house.
The guy who always advertises to the children, encouraging them to communicate with him privately about their sexuality. He was sponsored by Tampax to promote tampons, a man advertising tampons.
I did a brand deal for tampons. This was 2020, and this is me dancing around. That's a major national brand paid me to make this ad for them on social media. And I wanted to say two things about it.
I'll say two things about you.
You're weird.
Creepy as hell.
Yes.
You should be in prison.
Yes.
Not only is this a free man walking the streets and lurking the internet for your children, but he has almost 700,000 followers on the communist Chinese propaganda app TikTok, where they allow and enable him to recruit children.
Well, people in there know, again, it's run by China, and you know what the Chinese people are doing? They pop some of this stuff up so they could have this to break down families and everything, because they know, again, trying to do that in China, they ain't going for that in there. Heck, they don't even want religion in China, as we say again with the Uyghurs and all the other stuff. They don't do that, but they propped it up and shared it to America, so America could fall down, because they want y'all to get out of that thing so they could come in and just the best, because the old saying is nobody can destroy America from the outside, but the best way to destroy it is from the inside, and that's why this is what it is. And that's why I don't have TikTok on my phone or none of that stuff. And I know my sister has it, which I don't like. That's why I put a lot of like double VPNs and stuff like that, because that thing is serious.
This is a big trend now for the transgender TikTokers, most of whom have autogynephilia.
Okay, here's the crazy part.
So the biological men are fascinated with tampons. Here's Dylan Mulvaney and another TikToker who, by the way,
another
is
creepy
not doing
person.
A parody of Dylan. He's just copying Dylan, documenting his new womanhood.
Day 12 of being a girl. Day 12 of being a girl. And I just picked up some tampons. We're gonna go buy tampons.
What the?
I don't know, which one should I get? This thing does not go up inside you. Like,
if you have a vagina, it does.
Like, where does that go? Oh my god, what the hell? I know where the tampon goes, and it doesn't go inside me.
No, because you don't have a vagina.
I bought tampons because.
And then even if you faked up a vagina, you don't bleed. So you don't have a cycle. So it doesn't do that. Okay? It doesn't.
Are her parents brother and sister? Can you please leave now? Oh, now I get it. She's a moron.
Exactly.
Because I've never bought them before. You know what? I'm always going to have one on hand for anyone who needs it.
Yeah. Other women. Not you.
Women supporting women.
You're not a woman.
Love ya.
Seriously, this person is not making fun of Dylan Mulvaney. He is just imitating him, trying to replicate his viral TikTok fame,
Yep.
which just landed him a guest spot on Drew Barrymore's talk show.
Not a crazy person.
Apparently, she has a daytime talk show where she got on her knees and worshipped the transgender goddess TikTok star.
I look at someone like you, and I can't imagine anybody disliking you.
Oh, please. Do you want to know, ironic?
Motherfucker. That don't even make no goddamn sense.
Yeah, we could dislike her because she's a crazy woman.
Who dislikes me the most sometimes?
Who?
Myself.
Yeah, because you're crazy.
And, but.
The hell?
I guess. No, son of a bitch!
I'll spare you any more of the cringe because
Please.
it continues and goes on
Oh,
and on
please,
and on.
please. Thank you. The hell with you crazy people. Jeez.
What's going on? Something is causing these people to feel or believe that they are the opposite sex, but you're not supposed to say that there's anything wrong with them because that would be hateful. You're not supposed to say that it's a birth defect where they're born in the wrong body because then you're saying they're defective. So instead, you're just supposed to celebrate them as being amazing people who have transitioned into the next phase of human evolution. They're
No, they
better
did
than you and me.
not. No, they
In
did
a
not.
sane society, the entire medical establishment would be having an emergency committee, and it would be well funded to try to figure out what it is that's causing this and how it can be prevented. But that would be hateful. That would be eugenics.
Yep.
In her book, The End of Gender, Dr. Deborah So points to various research that indicates it may have something to do with abnormal, although you're not supposed to say that because then you're saying that they're not normal, but hormone levels in the womb being different than what they usually are. See, you can't even have an actual discussion about what it is that's going on without getting canceled, which is part of the reason why it continues to go on. It's just a vicious cycle. Some researchers believe that it's the BPA, the bisphenol A, which is a plastic in food packaging that also functions as a synthetic estrogen or an estrogen mimicker that is causing abnormal estrogen levels in the womb when fetuses are developing, that then causes them to be born with feminized brains if they're a male baby. Sigmund Freud, on the other hand, believed that gay people were the result of children having a disruption in a certain phase of their development when they started identifying with the wrong parent and internalizing that as their identity. So if a little boy who doesn't know the difference between boys and girls starts looking to his mother and starts thinking that he's basically a little version of her and wants to do what mommy does because all children want to do the things that they see their parents
Most
doing.
do. Yep.
And if the parent doesn't make the distinction between what a boy and what a girl is, then Sigmund Freud believed that disruption would cause such an outcome. One of my big beefs with the brand name conservatives who are critical of transgenderism is that I never see any of them questioning what the cause of it all is. We all know what the problem is, even though you're not supposed to say that it's a problem. That's hateful as well, but you get my point. But maybe we should start focusing on what the cause of it is. BuzzFeed posted almost 10 years ago when the gay marriage legalization debate was heating up shortly before the Supreme Court legalized it and tried to demand that everybody change the definition of what a marriage is. And they were mocking the people who were warning about the slippery slope and who obviously turned out to be right about what it would lead to. So here's their little Venn diagram or a pie chart. What will happen if gay marriage is legalized? And then, of course, it's all just the one color that says, well, oh, gay people will get married. That's all. And then they have these other things on the bottom. If you're looking at this on your phone, I don't know if you can read this, but a third world war will break out.
Well, what do you know? We have a war's going on right now.
Of course, there's no little pie slice of that because that would never happen. Various plagues, coronavirus.
I was just gonna say coronavirus that shut down a whole world for about a year.
Schools will begin teaching kids how to have gay sex.
Yep. Look at the books, and like I said, Ron DeSantis had to ban because they had books of boys giving fellatio at at young schools. How the hell that went?
Obviously, they're doing that, and the terrorists will win.
Yeah, the woke terrorist is winning.
Here's a more recent meme about the slippery slope.
Yep.
All they wanted was the right to get married, they said. Then they demand that you bake their cake with their special wedding announcements on it. Then you have to use their pronouns. Then you have to allow children to dance in drag for them. And then finally at the bottom of the slope, well, I guess there's one step further than that, which of course they're trying to get to at some point. But the second to the lowest rung is that you have to let the teachers choose your children's gender.
Exactly. That's how crazy it's getting. I'm sorry. You gotta be parents and you gotta step up with this stuff. And my thing is, again, I'm not against nobody to be who they want to be their self. That's what it is. But a lot of these kids are being manipulated. A lot of these people are manipulating people. If you want to live your life, live your life. That is the one right that you have. You want to be transgender, go right ahead. You want to be anything, whatever. If you're 18 over, you want to do all that, have the sex changes, all that stuff, have that. You want to go change your sex, that's your money. You go ahead and do that. But I should not be paying for it because I could use that money to take care of my disease or help my family members who got real stuff to worry about than that nonsense. Because again, if you want to do that, you take your money to do that, not my money. One. Two, again, if you want to be, if you want to have, you want to be loved by anybody, I don't care. What happens in your house, don't really care about it. Like I said, unless he ain't hurting and killing anybody, that's it. But if you want to have, if a man want to go have sex with a man, go right ahead. When a woman want to have sex with a woman, go ahead. I can't stop you. That's what it is. But the thing about it that kill me is I don't understand how 1% of American population, which is the whole trans thingy, and 5% of the population, which is mostly the bisexual, the sexual thing, has more power than 95% of the other of that. That's the part that puzzles this brain right here. You have the right to live your life the way you wanna. Cool. But you don't have the right, because again, anybody out there, I'm a self-made billionaire. I should have a lot of money, government, by your logic, how you doing all this stuff. I'm a self-made billionaire. This is crazy. But I want to talk about, but like I said, and here, you talk about that crazy dude right there. You know what? I'm going to leave it at, I got two more stuff to really talk about, but I'm going to leave the Black America stuff out. The Black Lives Matter stuff out. One more thing right here. And yes, it got cursing in it. I apologize. But you got this. I gotta finish up with this. And again, there's good. I do have good news. Like there's a young lady. Shout out to my boy Triple M. Trip. Yeah. There's a young lady a black lady who black young woman who worked hard, and I will do a feature on her. She got 50 scholars. She got yes, give it to 50 colleges, and she got also I think $3.8 million in scholarships. God bless her. And ma'am, I wish you the best in your schooling and stuff. And I'll talk about it, like I said, this thing. God bless you in that regard. You killing it, girl, and go get it. But let's talk about that same crazy dude that he was talking about. Let me show you what it's all about here. I have a problem. We all have a problem with this. Christians have a problem with this. Non-Christians have a problem with this. Muslims have a problem with this. Everybody have a problem with this. Listen to this nonsense. Again, I didn't have cursing in it. Again, apologize, but here you go.
Guys, this video is going to be a bit long.
Stop telling trans people that we're inspirational.
Stop telling kids to go on your Patreon and chat to you privately without their parents knowing.
Facts. Yep.
And then a lot of people made stitches of me saying I'm transphobic, I've done a lot of bad stuff.
Of course.
They've even attacked my scarf, my religion, a lot of bad stuff, which I don't
Of course, which is the funny part, because we're the people of inclusion, except that if we don't like what you say, you're a bad person. Oh, we love all Muslim, except for that when you start attacking our wokeness. We love all Christian and say you're attacking our weakness. It always goes that. We love all black people, except for black people who think like me, who don't think this nonsense is good. That's what they do.
And these people have also said they are not talking to the kids. Okay.
Yeah,
so
right.
I did a little bit of digging.
Hi, kids. Hey, kids. I want to talk to the kids. Hi, kids.
You are a mentally disturbed parent to let your child not only be on the internet without you watching over them, but to let this moron talk to your kids only. Why? What's your problem?
Hey, kids.
If you don't want to have kids, don't have kids, but do your damn job as a parent.
I've reviewed this motherfucker before, bruh. Talking to the goddamn kids. That fool need his goddamn ass whooped. Leave the fucking kids alone with all that bullshit. This ain't about me, this about her. Let's go.
So yeah, there's a lot of videos of them addressing kids. Now, the main video I want to talk about.
Your parents screwed up.
No, son of a bitch!
It's okay to say so. That's why I made a Patreon.
So you want to...
Yeah, I think your parents screwed up.
That's why I made a Patreon.
So you want to talk to kids whose parents have screwed up. Why? Why you want to talk to these particular kids?
Exactly.
Why?
That's why I made a Patreon. So that we could talk about it. So that we could connect in a way that has more privacy. So that we could talk to each other in a way that's more open and stuff that we wouldn't share like, in the comments of
Why? Why you can't talk in the comments?
a video like this. I think you're worthy. And
So you want to talk to kids on a social media platform privately about topics that cannot be talked about in the video of TikTok's comments section.
And I think what it is, you with that nonsense that they just said, they gotta pay what? The kids have to find someone to pay money to get your Patreon.
Because why?
Why?
Why you want to do that? Why
Exactly.
you can't chat about these topics in these comments?
Exactly.
Is it because it might get flagged or something? What could be the reason?
Exactly.
Could this be one of the reasons? Going no contact with the kids' parents? Because you say in one of your videos how kids can go no contact with their parents. So you teach kids how to go no contact with their parents? Is that what you're teaching them on?
What the fuck does no contact mean? Going no contact, I don't usually curse in my videos. What does going no contact mean? I don't know what the fuck that means.
On Patreon? Or is it this? You're teaching this more on... Because this...
More on sex? Yeah, I don't think I should let you ever talk to my damn kids. Well, you would never do that. And what kid get the money to go unlock this? Who's you getting that money from? What parents is giving them money to go on his Patreon?
This video might get flagged. That's why I don't want to say the word.
Ah,
and this
whatever.
is Jeffrey Marsh's Patreon. You talk about this topic with kids. Now here are just some of the signs of grooming. Literally one of the first ones. Gaining access and isolating the victim.
Yep.
Asking them privately to go on Patreon. And talking to them privately so you can connect. And then showing these kids that you trust them, you love them, you'll keep their secrets. And to keep them isolated from their parents.
Yep.
And then the icing on the cake is this video.
Hi, beautiful. If you do not have a family that loves you, I'm going to be your family.
No, you can't. You are a stranger on the internet. You are not their family. Oh, and another thing. You can turn off age restrictions on Patreon. So kids can go to Jeffrey Marsh's, their Patreon.
Bruh, yeah, I'd go to jail.
It's money. It's money.
Jail, dog. I'd go to jail, bro. The day I find out, it's never gonna happen. It would never happen. Never say never. Well, I ain't gonna speak that bullshit into existence. It would never happen. But if it did happen, that one of my children was privately talking to a fucker like that without my knowledge, bruh. I mean, first of all, you know, the kids getting their ass whooped, but I'm finding this motherfucker and I'm putting foot to ass. I don't give a damn. I don't give a damn what the fuck you identify as. He, she, this, there, it, this, whatever, bitch. I don't give a fuck. I'm putting foot to ass, bro. That's bullshit, dog. That's bullshit. What would happen if you had a grown ass, predator ass, pedophilistic, is that a word? You know what the fuck I mean. Pedophilistic ass man out here telling little girls to subscribe to his Patreon.
We know what would happen. Let's not cut the crap. We know what happened.
So they could talk in private without the parents' knowledge. It's the same shit. But you want to use this fucking LGBTQ ass, protected, untouchable ass bubble that your ass is in to hide behind where motherfuckers can't touch you, dog. But fuck that, bro. Fuck that. That's bullshit, bro. You are directly talking to the who.
And like I said, he just got a child. He got I think it's a baby boy. Yeah, and he got kids, so he knows that. That's why he's going that. And again, you could go. Stephen Knight is what it is. Like I said, he curses a little more than I would. So, but I get where he's coming from, and that's the point that we need to talk about. It's really getting crazy with some of these things now, and of course he's getting protected. He's getting protected by Dems and all the other stuff. Oh, whatever. No. You got to be in your child's life to figure out what the hell is going on, because this kind of crazy nonsense is a problem, literally a problem, and people need to understand that. So you just, like I said, oh, I forgot one more thing to point out. Before I end this, and yes, I know I wanted to do the talk, but it's getting late. The chat is crazy and everything. I apologize for that. I really do. We have 26,630 people in the house tonight. Thank you. Thank you very much. I get it. And like I said, I appreciate you guys leaving your stuff in there. So I gotta show one more thing in there. If I see if I have it. So but Oscars. So again, Sierra, and I saw this because of a Facebook post. A Facebook post with this woman saying what Sierra's wearing is all that, and well, y'all, and no, what Sierra wears at the Grammys is not respectful. Y'all saying about Christianity. Sierra says she's a Christian woman, got Christian values and all this stuff, right? And she's wearing stuff like this. That's what she wore to the Grammys. I mean, now Oscars. I'm sorry, Grammys. Oscars. Good. Russell Wilson, you're a Christian man. What the heck, man? Seriously. That's not cool that your wife is going out there like that. But then y'all talk about God, this and this, and the prayer and everything else. That's why a lot of people right now is doing the hypocrisy with the stuff. Okay? This is crazy. I am not gonna have my wife. This is supposed to be behind closed doors. And this ain't like the first time she's done stuff like that. Like, that's powerful. That's great. You should be understanding your wife is beautiful. That's supposed to be behind closed doors. Literally. That's supposed to be between me. That's why I married you. So that'd be my goodie, Sierra. Not for the world to see. And again, you can't say you are a Christian person and this is all the stuff you're doing. It's crazy. Okay? Not cool at all. Not cool at all. I'm sorry, Russell. I'm sorry. I don't know what you're doing, my boy. I wish you the best. But again, you choose what you choose. You marry what you married. I get that, but I can't. You can't hit me with the Christian values when you literally out there flaunting your body and doing devilish things on screen for millions of people to see. Again, all the stuff what she's saying about all my ladies and this, all my single independent women and all that song that she talked about, which we talked about. But she's home with her husband. She's home with her husband. She got a man. So it's funny how a lot of these young girls, just speaking, we just talk about young people. It's funny how these young girls get caught up in this nonsense and get caught up in this trap. All right? Ain't supposed to be doing this. Serious vibes. Totally serious vibes. We need to stop this craziness. But that's why Hollywood is what it is right now. That's why I call it Hollywood. Because Hollywood, they don't have no, how should I say it? They don't have no, they have no point. They're gonna keep on getting corrupt and do stuff like that, and do what they gotta do. So we gotta change this. So for right now, hey, it is what it is. Again, I want to thank all the people out there Thank you for enjoying the show. Thank you for coming through. Again, yes, I know I did not do any Channel Chasers Daily this week, but they'll be back next week. Also Sunday is a church service that I go to with my wife. Yeah, that I put out is in the book of Exodus. Check it out if you guys need that spiritual the spiritual meal to keep you going, of course, in life. And again, that's what's going on. So you can go check that out. But Straight No Chaser is gonna be there, and also we're gonna start getting back. I'm trying to think in my mind. We're gonna start also get back. Like I said, the website's being worked on. We're gonna get a website, gonna be back up to the merch, music, and everything for TT Records itself. That's the company that I own and that we do. But check us out. And with that said, I think that's about it. The usual thing I'm gonna say. Remember, evil, as you just saw, evil, and I'm telling you that evil is hold up, let me see here. Evil comes in all shapes, color, size, creed, gender, height, nationality. Make no difference. Evil is evil. And trust me, this right here, what you see, that's evil on the screen to the left of the black man. Evil. But with that said, also, remember, take care of yourself, take care of your family, take care of your neighbors, take care of your community. That's the only way we will beat this craziness. And last but not least, remember, evil comes in all shapes. I'm not sorry. People are stupid, individuals smart. Be that smart individual. Again, check us next time for Project Open Mic, episode 100. Again, thank you guys for joining us. Be safe, take care of yourself, take care of your family, and we'll catch you next time. Peace.